Okay, thank you everyone for coming. I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone that doesn't have the operation to vibrate, that you shut it off so it does not disturb our meeting. And now being 2 o'clock and we're now on summer hours, that I'll welcome everyone and I'll call the meeting to order and I'll ask everyone to rise and the city clerk to say a prayer.
O God, let us each in our own way ask your wisdom and guidance in our deliberations. Help us to incorporate into all our decisions those values which will enable us to fulfill our mission, to act as responsible stewards, and to respect and value the cultural and spiritual tradition of all citizens of the City of Prince Albert. For this we pray. Amen.
Thank you. We have no changes to the agenda, so if I could get a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that the agenda for this meeting be approved as presented and that the presentations, delegations, and speakers listed on the agenda be heard when called forward by the Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. I'll prompt a question. I'll get my glasses out. The question is now open. Yep, everyone's on. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, number 4, presentations. We have none. Number 5, declaration of conflict of interest. You all know what that is. If you have a conflict of interest, you have to state it and then declare it and excuse yourselves to when the clerk brings the item up. Number 6, adoption of the minutes. Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Mayor Dion. That the minutes of the council regular meeting held June 13, 2022 be taken, read, and adopted.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Head.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I'll prompt the question. Questions now open and carried. Thank you. We had 3 proclamations. 7.1 World Simoromi Awareness Day. I apologize if I didn't get that one correct. June 29, 2020. 7.2 Food Canada Day, July 30th, 2022, and 7.3 National Drowning Prevention Week, which is July 17th to the 23rd. And those are the only 3 that I got last time. Number 8, public hearings, we have none. Number 9, delegations, we have none. Number 10, communications, we have none. Number 11, here we go, reports of committees, administrations and committee. 11.1, Margot Fournier Centre. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to move this motion that the sale agreement between the City and Prince Albert Grand Council for the Margot Fournier Centre facility and property located at 1211 First Avenue West be approved in the amount of $375,000. 2, that the lease agreement between the City and Prince Albert Grand Council for the portion of the site occupied at the Kinsman Community Heritage Centre be approved in the annual amount of $1. And 3, that the administration forward a report to explore alternative recognition for Margot Fournier for consideration by members of council at an upcoming meeting. And 4, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute that agreement on behalf of the city. And I have a comment once it's second.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion, and I too will speak on it.
Thank you. I'll come back to you if you want to click. Okay, if you want to turn your lights on now. You're in the queue. That's okay. Okay. Well, I have Councillor Brodnick, Councillor Zierakowski, Councillor Head. Oh. Okay. Oh, no, you're all changed again. Now it's Councillor Head, Councillor Zierakowski, Councillor Brodnick. That's what I like about electronics. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I understand that the resistance to selling the Margot Fournier Centre, and I want to make sure that you all know that I'm not deaf to the seniors here. There's few here. I don't see as many as we did at the executive meeting. And the seniors who have built an attachment over many decades of programming, which enriched their lives and their sense of community, who spoke with council, their previous meeting, and of course, who fought for the center 7 years ago. We have two choices here. To me, we have two groups of people. On the one side, we have those for whom the Margot Fournier represents connection to a community, at the heart of which is a woman who dedicated much of her life to improving the lives of the city's youth through music and sport. On the other side, we have a community in desperate need to services and programming designed to improve, and I suspect in very many cases, save lives of people who may not know what it feels like to be a part of a community. The Margot Fournier has seen its share of controversy. In 2015, an outraged community rallied to stop the sale of the building, and for the last couple of years, fences around the building have sparked outrage beyond Prince Albert, and certainly much within it. I will be voting in favor of selling the Margot Fournier to the Prince Albert Grand Council, and I hope my esteemed colleagues do as well, and I'll tell you why. The Prince Albert Grand Council is not a private entity. It is a public building. It is a government. This sale will ensure that the building remains a public building. It will just serve a different public. The programs which will run in that building will help build solid foundations for people who now can't see a happy, productive future. It will help start careers of people who never imagined they could accomplish such a thing. It will house programming which will have a positive impact beyond Prince Albert, because those who will get trained in the planned programs will go on to fill the workplace gaps in many industries in our great province. We very often hear of the undesirable happenings in Prince Albert. Our community is struggling with many issues, and we all want to see them addressed. I believe that the Prince Albert Grand Council's plan for this building is a huge step forward for all of us, because the plan for the building is to do exactly that. It is to address the core of the issues which cause my people to struggle. We all want to see solutions, and we're not being offered. We all want to see solutions, and we are being offered the opportunity to participate in one. It's not going to fix everything, I know that, but it's a step in the right direction, and I believe it's a significant step, a step this council and this community must support. I, for one, will be very proud to walk by the center in the years to come to watch the students as they go in for the training that may lead them towards a fulfilling career and away from a life of addiction and destitution. And I know I'll be very proud to be able to say that I had a very small part to play in that, and I hope you all join me. Hi.
Councillor Zierakowski.
Thank you, Worship. A couple of questions, if I may. Last time this was on the agenda, there was a lot of information that was able to come forward through the public consultations and getting the information out to all parties and the public involved. And I think that was a really positive step moving forward. There's a lot of rumors going around, and the seniors and the public were able to hear directly from those decision makers, whether it be administration from the city or the First Nations, the PAGC themselves. So I think that was helpful. We've come a long way in the last few weeks. My question is this for the people that are listening. I'd like administration to explain the governments, the relationship between the city, the PAGC, and the Kinsman Heritage Centre, the building itself moving forward. Who's in charge of what? How long will the seniors be able to control their own destiny? Those are sorts of the questions that I think people need some comfort. And the seniors that were here last time, I think, heard some of those answers. But I think it's important again that we get that information out to the public and to the seniors that are listening. What is that relationship with the PAGC, the Kinsman Heritage Centre, and that seniors organization, and with the city itself?
Director of Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. To Councillor Zierakowski's inquiry, so with respect to the Kinsman Community Heritage Centre, the lease that we're proposing in the recommendations here today is to be directly with the city, so between the Prince Albert Grand Council and the City of Prince Albert, for the continued perpetual use of that space for the seniors programming. So by perpetual control, we mean we don't have an end date on that term. This is something in which that relationship will continue. The only thing that would change that relationship would be if the seniors were to approach the city and for whatever reason, not require use of that space any longer. We wanted to make sure that was very clear in this proposal, and we believe we've achieved that with the recommendation and the partnership here with Prince Albert Grand Council. The sale itself is for the Margot Fournier Centre facility and the Kinsman Community Heritage Centre, but we hope the attachment to the report clearly outlines the shaded area that is to be leased moving forward. It's a very distinct difference there, and through the meetings we've had with Prince Albert Grand Council, they're very respectful of that, and also agree that the programming for the betterment of the seniors in our community is a priority moving forward.
Thank you for that, and I think it's, and thank you to the seniors who expressed their concern and asked their questions. Thank you to the Urban Services, of course, who have those conversations and are always willing to have those conversations with the seniors and the public moving forward. So I think once the information is out there, once the information got out there and those questions were asked and answered, it really relieved a lot of concerns on behalf of the seniors and the public. So I just want to thank administration and the seniors and the PAJC Urban Services, of course, moving forward in such a positive way in that relationship, because that's how we get things done in this city, is through partnerships.
Councillor Bodnik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too will support this motion, and I think it's a great deal. It's an agreement, as some councillors already mentioned, between two governments, the City of Prince Albert and Prince Albert Grand Council. And it's a partnership that moving forward, where I'm proud that we work well together and try to resolve issues that the city has. And this selling of this center, the Margot Fournier Center, to Prince Albert Grand Council is going to be nothing but a win-win situation. When I look at in the report some of their vision for that particular center, it says it wants to become a skills and training center with employment readiness focus, which will include but not limited to educational resources, driver license training, life skill programs, odd job squads, community and sports programming in the gymnasium, cultural programming with elders presence, partnerships with the Kinsman Community Senior Center, return to school events, mentorship program with the city police, just to mention a few. And that's a good, I think a good use of that facility. It's right now it isn't being used to its full potential, and the Prince Albert Grand Council is going to make that a very happening place, a gathering place. And that's what our name is. Prince Albert was the gathering place. Kista Pananak, I think is how you say it. Sorry for my Cree, but that's how you, and that's the gathering place. And that's for we just celebrated Confederation for the last 155 years. Well, 10,000 years before that, this was a great gathering place, and we have to recognize that history as well. And this is what the Prince Albert Grand Council is going to do with this particular facility. I'm very happy, and because when this first came up, I said Margot Fournier, that name has to be protected, and I'm glad that we're going to move forward in making sure that we continue to honor Margot Fournier in the city of Prince Albert somewhere, and so that's an important piece for me as well. Other than that, I applaud Prince Albert Grand Council, and I know Jeff's here, and all the great work that he does, and all the partnerships that he's created in the city, and I think that this is going to be a great asset in downtown Prince Albert. So thank you to Prince Albert Grand Council for their vision, and I hope everybody on council supports this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. Question for the director. Just to confirm my understanding, I didn't see anything yet in the sale agreement that requires this building to remain within ownership of a First Nations government. Is that, there's no requirements right now for this building to remain within the ownership of PA Grand Council?
If I could, Mayor Dion, to Councillor Lennox Zepp's inquiry. So attached to the report today, we do have the agreement that is specifically with the Prince Albert Grand Council. Yes, in our opinion, if the sale agreement is approved today, then it will require discussion between both parties should there be some further consideration in the future. If that's, I think, a little more to the question possibly that you're asking. And we do believe that Prince Albert Crown Council would make sure we're fully aware should they have any other consideration for that location.
Okay, so I move an amendment. That the city provide a requirement within the sale agreement that the Margot Fournier Centre will remain within the ownership of a First Nation government organization.
For a term, like forever, like,
I guess I'm interested to hear what other members of council's thoughts on this would be. I'm interested in what other people's thoughts are in that regard.
okay, first of all, I don't want to put our solicitor on the spot. Oh, I need a seconder, sorry. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Miller?
Yes, I'll second Mayor Dion.
Okay, thank you. So, solicitor, can we put such a motion in a sales agreement? Once they own it, if they decide to sell it, I'd like to hear your comment on it, please.
Thank you for the question, and Mayor Dion, through to the councillor's question. While I haven't been involved directly in the negotiations, I understand that, and I have been briefed on the negotiations, that this is not a term that was contemplated in the actual sale agreement, other than the Grand Council is able to name a designate under the terms of the agreement contemplated if there was another party that would receive the title to this property. But typically, when market value is exchanged in a sale of fee simple, which this is, that there are no such other requirements that would limit the use of the property by the purchasing entities. So it would be an unusual term. It can be entered into an agreement if there is agreement on the other side. This seems to be very general. And
Yeah.
would require some further negotiation, obviously, with the Grand Council. It's not a term that has come up in the briefings that I've had in the negotiations that we were instructed to undertake through administration with the Grand Council.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so any comments on her motion? I won't be supporting it because I believe a sale is a sale, and that we shouldn't put hinders, especially in the 11th hour. We're here to approve the sale and to move on, so I won't be supporting it. Is there anyone else, before I call for the vote, that have a comment? Okay, you want to close then, and
So we are at the stage of decision-making. This is a governance process, this is decision-making, this is something that we as a government can consider. And I guess what I'm hearing around the table thus far on this item is that, if we are selling the Margot Fournier Centre, it is a positive that it would be sold to another nation-to-nation governance organization. And I can understand that point, that if we're selling the building, then it makes sense that it is to another democratic organization, nation-to-nation relationship, partnership, as we hear. And so with that, and considering that we as a city, this building was built because a council about 56 years before us decided we needed this building at this location for a reason. It was built with for public use. And so if we were to enter into negotiations to say, look, we like that this is being sold to a First Nations government, and we want to make that a part of this agreement, which is what I've heard around the table today from members of council, is that's a positive, that this would be going to another governance organization, then don't we then have a responsibility to consider this motion, that this should be remaining within the ownership of Prince Albert Grand Council or First Nations government? And so that's based on what I'm hearing from other members of council. That's why I believe that this motion makes a lot of sense for what we're talking about today and is in the best interests of the public. If we are selling the building, to make sure that, and if we're happy and see that it is a positive to have that nation-to-nation relationship, let's make sure that we are responsible to the public on where this building will go for the long term.
Okay. Oh, okay, got somebody going. Councillor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship. I'm certainly going to not support this amendment because, after all, you know, a business deal is a business deal. And I'm sure that any one of us here who have a business or had a business and we had it for sale and we wouldn't want to have our hands tied and say, but you can't sell it to anybody other than those people. That simply is not proper. I don't think that's proper business. These folks are paying us $375,000. They'll own it. Surely they can then sell it to whomever they wish. We hope and pray that they keep it and do what they're doing today with the building. Because I think what they're doing here is just great. I think the educational portion, all of the stuff that they're going to do with their folks and others, not only their folks, others as well, is great. And I think it's going to be great for the community, great for downtown, and I think you'll find it that way. But I don't think you can tie the hands of a business that purchases a piece of property and then say, well, but you have to keep it within that government area, such as a First Nation government organization. So I can't support that at this point in time. I'm hoping that when the negotiations are on, that they will say, look, we have no intentions of selling it at any point in time, but should the time come where we have to do it, they may have to do it. And I think we have to leave their hands untied.
You. Okay, I see no one else in the queue, so I'm going to prompt the question. What do we got to do? We got to wait? Yes. She's just typing up, that's why we have to wait. It's not in the system. I tried to get her to put it in, but she went till she got a seconder. So, no, we're technically under delay. Well.
It's up, isn't it? It should be there.
Okay, where would I find it though? Will it be next?
Very bottom, very bottom.
Okay. Okay, I have it. Questions now open. Motion's defeated 7-2. Who voted? Miller? Okay. Okay, now on the main motion now, Councillor Zapp.
Thank you. On the motion on the floor, this is a public property right now. Operated through democracy, owned through the people, built by the people. And it's on a piece of, you know, very, I think, prime real estate, very close to 2nd Avenue West. In our, looking into the long term of our city, you know, I believe, and I hear from members of the public, that it is in the best interests of the public to keep a public building within the public. And I have to say that the programming that's suggested is wonderful. The interest that we've heard of usage of this building, absolutely wonderful. And so it is possible that we as a city council could offer to lease a public building for this wonderful usage. And then that building maintains within the public realm, looking into the long, long term, where then citizens get to determine what happens with that building through their democracy into the long term. And that, to me, is in the public's interest. And I have heard that, as I say, from members of the public saying, look, this is a public building, we use it, and we want to maintain it in the public realm. Now, I do believe in the nation-to-nation relationship, and that was the reason for my earlier motion. And it seems to me that there must be ways that we could pursue that nation-to-nation relationship while still maintaining long-term ownership of the building, but supporting the very positive usage of the building here. And as several of my colleagues have said, that we ensure that this remains a public building. And right now, we're not ensuring that this remains a public building. And I think that is an important piece here for the public to be able to use it. Lastly, I am very concerned about the lack of public consultation on a decision to sell a public property. We have not yet, as a city, performed public consultation asking the general public, who are taxpayers, who are people who really own this building today, what they would like to see done with this piece of property. And I think that that is something that we have failed in, and that we can do. We can do that public consultation. We can hear from the public what they would like to see done, and then make a decision on this topic. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to support the motion that we're debating today. Number one, this facility is costing the city $100,000 plus per year that we have to take away from other valuable items that we may be able to do within the city. It's $100,000 that we could utilize better within the city, north of $100,000. The city is not utilizing this building. We're not utilizing it to the fullest potential. And here we have a government that wants to utilize it to help improve the city of Prince Albert and the core of Prince Albert, the downtown area, which does need some help. We know that. I'm hearing from the public in my public consultation that I've done. The public are supportive of this because the building is sitting there doing not much. There's traffic out front that need some help, that need the programs that these people are going to offer, that the PA Grand Council are going to offer. And I believe it's positive for our downtown overall to allow this sale, to allow the Prince Albert Grand Council to do the work that they're saying that they're going to do, and I believe they're going to do it. We know the urban services have these programs available already, and they need more space. And this is a perfect location for this space to enhance their programs. And why are we spending the $100,000 per year to not utilize it, despite whether it's a public space or not? We're not utilizing it. We know that, the staff know that, the public know that. So this is a good move for Prince Albert, and I fully support.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to prompt the question. Question's now open. Passes 7-2. Councilor Miller. Okay, moving on, 11.2, Prince Albert Youth Soccer Association lease. Who? Sorry. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the motion that the lease agreement between the city and Prince Albert Youth Soccer Association for the use of the turf fields and office space at the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse be approved for a 5-year term from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2027. That a base rental fee in the amount of $80,000 be approved, subject to rate increases on January 1st of each year, based on the city's annual rates and fees review, approved through the budget process. 3, that the $30,000 of the annual rental fee continue to be paid by the Prince Albert Youth Association and be allocated to the Alfred Jenkins Fieldhouse Capital Reserve for the future replacement of the indoor turf. And 4, that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the lease agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you. I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor Miller?
Thanks, Mayor Dion. I guess I have a couple of questions here. When was the last time the turf was replaced?
Oh, I'm waiting for the answer.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. To Councillor Miller's question, so the turf, the indoor turf is original with the facility when it was constructed and opened in 2010.
So how much do we have in that reserve to replace the turf?
At the moment, we have approximately $400,000.
Okay, and is it, I know it says in the report that it's around 600,000 to replace the turf. So I looked it up today in one of the businesses that replace turf, and it's about 700,000 with maintenance costs and replacement and things you have to do to it. So is 300,000 going to be enough?
So we have approximately 400,000 at the moment. What we like about the arrangement is Prince Albert Youth Soccer Association, their willingness to contribute. So this isn't 100% on the city. So to answer the question, to get to that target, whether it be 700, 600, we do appreciate there's probably some escalation in the cost like other items at this time. Their willingness to contribute at the amount that's noted in the report is going to get us there. And that partnership, I think, is key to getting that turf replaced.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a clarification question. Okay, but we're talking rent. So we're talking money that's paid to the city of PA. And then we now are directing it into a capital reserve. So what my understanding was that the soccer association at some point when it was built was going to be responsible for the cost 50% to replace the turf. So it's kind of twisted around now, and you say they're making a contribute to it. Well, they are and they're not. The $30,000 should be paid to the city to go to the operating cost of the building, but that's not happening. So is there another arrangement if we have to replace the turf next year and we need 300,000? Is that arrangement still in place where they're going to fundraise and come up with the half, or has that changed?
So our, thank you, Mayor Dion, for the question. So on top of the amount noted in the recommendations here in front today, certainly we've had multiple conversations with PESA around opportunities for external funding. They come in different fashions. Sometimes it's grant funding, sometimes it's sponsorship. They're very open to that type of partnership moving forward. The timing of it, we're hoping sooner than later we can replace it. However, the care and maintenance that we perform on it annually has extended the life of it beyond what has been noted by the manufacturer. So as long as we continue with the partnership, we are confident that we're going to get there. We are going to get the funds in place. And your comments with respect to securing that additional funding, PESA is certainly open to ways in finding that through sponsorship and grant funding.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Zurkowski?
Thank you. A couple of questions, if I may. So the $80,000 is the base rental fee for the upcoming 5-year term. What was the fee in the previous agreement? Was it also a 5-year term? And I'm trying to get a comparison between what's happened and what's going to happen moving forward. Same sort of comparables, apples to apples. Was it a 5-year term? What was that dollar amount for that? And is there a percentage increase for this term? And that's the number I couldn't find.
Thank you, Councillor Zerkowski, for the question. Yes, so on an annual basis, it is subject to increases, and that was consistent previously with their previous term. So the note in the recommendation that speaks to the annual rates and fees review, this agreement is required to be reviewed annually. One of the reasons why is for this exact reason is if we have cost escalation or there's projects that have to be completed, improvements like turf replacement, those kind of things are factored in as part of that review. So it is going to be subject to increases throughout the 5-year term. This is the starting point, and with the previous 5-year term, it was also subject to similar conditions.
I think that's the point. You said it very well. That's the point I think we need to, the point the public needs to hear, residents need to hear, people have asked me, is that 80,000 is the starting point, but there are pluses, plus on top of that moving forward.
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I see no one else in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question's now open and carried. Thank you. 11.3, Forestry Management Plan Update. Oh, sorry. Councillor Kilmer.
I'll move that the identified focus areas be supported and form the basis of the 2022 Forestry Division Work Plan.
Thank you. Councillor Bodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Are you going to talk? Oh, okay. Well, I thought you wanted to follow up, so I wanted to give you first opportunity. Thank you. Councillor Zerkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of questions, if I may. This is a very ambitious plan. There's a lot in here, and I thank the department for their planning work to identify priorities. But certainly reading the report, and I invite the public to read over the report, that the needs, and I'm not going to say once, but the needs clearly outweigh the resources that we have. And I think we need to go into that with our eyes wide open. But at least we're getting to a focus. We're establishing priorities, and we're looking for partnerships to accomplish what needs to be done within the city. The one question, and so I'm fully supportive, and I'm looking forward to getting some of this work done. The question I am regularly asked by the public is this, and maybe it's an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How, with all of this work plan in front of us and these objectives and these risks in front of us for the department, how close are we to being able to have the resources to, at the Little Red River Park, being able to clear some of the deadfall and the sweepers in that river so we can turn that river that flows through the Little Red River Park into a recreational destination as well? I didn't see that one small item in the work plan, and I probably, to be honest, didn't expect it to be, but I wonder if in some general term, if somebody's keeping that in mind, that they're, as we focus on the Little Red and put resources into that facility, that there's a demand we're hearing from the public. When can we get into the river? It's dangerous with are we thinking about at some point in the future being able to resource that river that runs through the Little Red River Park and clearing that out, that deadfall, so the river could be used?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. So to Councillor Zerkowski's inquiry, with respect to Little Red River Park and the work required there, the work you're referencing, and as you know, a very remote area, which creates a real challenge to get into with the equipment necessary. That is something I do know our Parks Manager is researching at the moment and working on a solution to. Where you're going to see an update on that type of work won't necessarily be through the Forestry Management Plan update. We're looking that through more the lens of the Little Red River Park Master Plan and how we can connect with clearing deadfall, opening up opportunities for programming and access to the different amenities at the park.
Councillor Zepp.
Thank you. Question for administration. A citizen asked me a question about the harvesting plan under this document, and if I could just read it to you. They indicate that the potential harvest areas within the city limits north of the river, and some are very close to Nordale. Have there been consultation between the city and the Ministry of Environment regarding this harvest plan? And would it fall under the preservation guidelines of the urban forest plan? I don't know if we have an answer on that.
If I can,
Go ahead.
Mayor Dion, thank you. To Councillor Lennox Epps' inquiry. So we have had multiple consultation points with SPSA, or the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, and the Wildfire Branch around this work. Where it does impact or come into close proximity of residential areas, there is a communication requirement to homeowners in that area. There was some, I would say some takeaways, maybe not the right term, but takeaways when we had the fire last year that did come into close proximity with a lot of those homes in the area. There was some things that we seen that were put in place in consultation with the fire department and Wildfire Branch that worked very well. Having those sprinkler kits, having some smart planning principles in place that helped manage the fire in those areas really did help. And the consultation in very quick manner to those residents was key. Likewise, proactively is that communication to those residents as well in advance, so that they know why the work's necessary, where it's gonna be occurring. And I think this year we're gonna see some improvements that don't necessarily come in too close a proximity to the residential areas, so that communication might not be as required, but as noted in the report, it is a multi-year agreement that we are working in conjunction with. So we will follow the same communication process as we do with other projects in the community, where the ward councillor for sure will be notified. We also stay in close communication with the mayor's office as well when there is impacts to the residents of your respective wards, so that everyone understands the work and why it's needed and potentially when it's going to be occurring.
And just on that, are you expecting, like, when harvesting is happening near residential areas like Nordale, are you expecting, I guess, do we know what type of communication would go out to residents? Is it a letter? Is it?
So it'll depend on the proximity. At minimum, yes, the property owner's contacted directly through multiple forms, usually a follow-up call as well, just so that there isn't the assumption the letter was received. In some cases, if it is a larger swath that is required, opportunities such as a bit of a town hall meeting that people can come, see the plans, have them on presentation boards clearly, they usually are more impactful in those cases. If it's smaller levels of work, then usually just direct contact with the property owners, the ward councillor, and the mayor's office certainly gets us on the right track so that everybody's aware in case you get calls or there's questions as to why the work's needed.
Perfect, and just so that I'm hearing you correctly, I think I'm hearing you say that for this first year, there isn't a plan to be near residential areas for harvesting. Do you know what year you'd estimate when we do get close to residential?
Not at the moment. They being the Wildfire Branch and SPSA usually identify those approximately a year out, maybe a little less than a year. So sufficient time definitely to have that communication happen, but just for council's information this year, the work for the most part is in and around the Pine Grove Correctional Center, just north of Lakeland Ford Park, up in some areas that they've really noted require some attention. And those areas were identified as well following the fire last year that certainly would help should we ever, heaven forbid, have a scenario like that again. This is more proactive work that helps stop the fuel of that fire.
I appreciate that, thank you.
And just a follow-up question to make sure it's clear. All this land they're clearing is owned by the province of Saskatchewan. They're not intruding in the corporate boundaries of the city of PA.
Where they do, or if they need to, the work this year is what you're referencing, Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, so the work that you're referencing this year falls in and around the provincial properties, but it's important we're involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do, but, you know,
Absolutely.
and that's why I appreciate them keeping us involved, because it is their property.
And for the funding. The
Yes.
funding share is key too.
Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have just a couple of comments. I know Mr. Yeaman's not here today, and I've worked over the last year and a bit to, find a way to address some of the residents' concerns in my area. So this report is really well written and, of course, ambitious, as one of the councillors said. And I suspect if he was here, I imagine we're going to have to find some increase in our budget to assist in this, because it is necessary. We had a storm here last year that, without our department and other assistance in the city, it's very important that we do address the safety of our residents. And of course, having trees laying around the roads is something that this report will look at addressing. So more so for the public, I want to just highlight Article 14 here, and that talks about some of the procedure and how we're going to address some of those trees. So well done to the department, and of course, this report from Mr. Yeaman, who I see is not here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to prompt a question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. $11.4, 2022 tax abatement and service land. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the snow management and roadways special tax portions of the 2022 taxes on the properties listed in the report for a total of $5,818 be abated due to being unserviced and vacant property, and that the snow management and roadways special tax portions of the 2022 taxes on the airport parking properties listed in the report for a total of $1,250 be abated due to being unserviced and with development limited to temporary structures.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Zerkowski.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, I see no questions in the queue. So I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. $11.5, 2022 care home abatements. Councilor Cody.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that I move the recommendation that the municipal property tax abatement for 15 personal care homes in the amount of $12,307.72 be approved, and that the education property tax abatement portion for 15 personal care homes be based on approval from the Saskatchewan Ministry of Government Relations, if required, and the separate school division number 6.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions? Don't see anyone in the queue. So I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. $11.6, 2022 request for tax relief. Councilor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that the tax abatement of $2,744 for the portion of the 2022 taxes attributed to the separate school division number 6 for the Catholic Family Services of Prince Albert Inc. property located at 1008 First Avenue West be approved, and 2, that the tax abatement of $8,697.02 for the Prince Albert Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals for the property located at 1125 North Industrial be approved.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Cody.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, I see no one in the queue. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.7, bid reserve funding security request. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to move that the Prince Albert Downtown Business Improvement District be authorized to utilize $33,601.92 from the Downtown Improvement Reserve in order to contract security services on a 3-month term project.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second that. I'll speak to it if I may.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I'm pretty excited about this intent by the Downtown Business Improvement District. I think this goes into the category of, what are we gonna do? What are you doing? And this business improvement district downtown is taking action into their own hands, and they're doing something about it. And I'm pleased to hear that conversations are continuing and will continue and have had between the bid and city administration. And I look forward to further conversations between the downtown bid and city administration later this year, into next year, to see what other partnerships that we can accomplish in order to make our downtown thrive.
Thank you. Councillor Zepp?
If this motion passes, does that not mean that we are not sufficiently policing in the downtown area? To me, that goes hand in hand, that we're not sufficiently providing policing resources as they're needed, and that we are having crime in the downtown that's not being addressed. And that is a concern to me. I've had members of the public tell me, look, in past years, we used to have foot patrol and bike patrol and have our police service, you know, really in the downtown performing some preventative work. And we don't have that. Right now, that's not happening, unfortunately. And that maybe that's a responsibility of the city to, and I guess hand in hand with the police commission, to make sure that we're funding appropriately so that we are providing proactive policing work. And we do have a new proactive policing unit that you know, that we do talk about and hear about, and that's a good thing, to be proactive and prevent crime before it happens. But maybe we need to be more responsible in that manner of having policing, you know, provided as needed, because obviously it's not sufficient right now. I want to congratulate the pad bid, like, again, as we've heard, for an action item. You know, it's really great to hear, look, this is something we can do. This is a solution. We're coming to you with a constructive solution. That is always good. That is always good. So I'm very torn on this item, that there's a systemic kind of overall issue I see of, can't we do policing that's appropriate and meets the needs of our citizens? And then, you know, I really do have sympathy with the pad bid in bringing this forward. And I would say the pad bid's done everything right here. They've gone through the steps, as the report says. They're doing the right thing to bring a constructive solution. So it's, those are the two issues weighing on me. I'd like to hear from other members of council before the vote, but I wanted the public and the pad bid to know that those are, there's a bigger systemic issue of policing that is weighing on me that I'm concerned about.
Councillor Kilmer?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Further to what Councillor Lennox was discussing, there are bigger items and for definitely. But what I really like about what the PA bid is doing, and furthermore to the action, is that they have developed partnerships and relationships with all of the members in the PA bid and continue to bring that relationship and the idea of doing and cleaning and feeling comfortable in the PA bid area with those partners. They work very closely with the police. They work very closely with the security company. And I'm really hoping that the public recognizes that it's not about security, about kicking people out. It's about just the presence of being friendly and being in the downtown area during the day. Many of our business owners have told us frequently that they feel that people don't feel comfortable, that the downtown is not a place to visit. But as we have seen from the great day we had down on Central just recently, people are coming back to the downtown, and our business community just want to have the optics of working together with the police at this moment.
Councillor Bodnik?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm definitely going to support this. I think this is a great 3-month term project, and then we'll see what happens. I don't view it as a lack of policing. I think our city police do an excellent job. I think our problem is maybe with the court system. I think that might be the more appropriate problem, rather than blaming our police. We could have a police officer on every corner, and if nothing happens after somebody does something, do we blame the police or do we blame the courts? And so I think maybe that might be more of the problem. I view this, though, as being proactive. I view this as being an attempt to assist the police, just like neighborhood watch groups. They assist the police because we can't have a police officer on every corner. And we don't want to have a police officer on every corner. We don't want that. We want to live, in a society that is free and safe, and that's the type of society I want to live in. And so I think this project will assist the police in helping the downtown become more safe, feel safer for people, and for the people that work in the downtown, and for the business community downtown. I think that's the whole point here. And I think we should all support this 3-month term project. I would expect that we'll see, if there has been a change after 3 months, after spending this money from their reserves, then we'll have a report, and then we'll know what direction we as a city, working with the Downtown Business Improvement District group, whether we start funding and helping with that, or whether it's a failure. We'll find out in 3 months, but my guess is it's going to work, and it's going to help, as I said, people going downtown, the businesses and people that work in the downtown area. So I'm going to support this, and I hope everybody else on council does as well.
Yeah. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Worship. Just a couple of notes. Certainly, I support this initiative. Any extra efforts down there or anywhere in the city is a positive. And here we have an organization that's come up with an idea. And I look forward to the next 3 months and then hearing a report on how it has worked. But I know it's going to help for sure. Once we see the report, hopefully we see some form of report come back, then we can see what the city can do more for the downtown. Because people want to be downtown, they want to feel safe. And I believe this is going to help. Police resources, absolutely. We could use more police resources. But the reality is it's 110,000 plus out of, to have these. One extra police officer is $110,000 plus per year. And we approved a $35 base tax to have 4 proactive police officers, and it wasn't supported by everybody in this room. And that was only $35 per household or per property. So the reality is policing in our city is 35% of our overall budget. So how do we increase that? We need some help from the outside sources to help with that and to add more police officers. So this, to me, is a great positive initiative. It's $30,000, $33,000 out of a reserve that's there. I think it's a positive move, and I appreciate Bad Bid coming forward with this, and I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see no one else in the queue, so I'll prompt the question. Question's now open. It passes 8-1. Okay, 11.8, disposal of tax title land, 551 6th Street East. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that the vacant property located at 551 6th Street East be listed for sale for $47,900, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute the sale agreement and any other necessary documents on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Edwards.
I'll second the motion, Your Worship.
Thank you. Questions? See no one in the queue. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. 11.9, Letter of Understanding Engineering Technicians. Councilor Zierakowski.
Worship, I'll move that the letter of understanding between the city and the Canadian Union of Public Employees, Local 160, be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute that agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Kilmar.
I will second that.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, I see no one in the queue. Questions now open. And carried. 11.10, Municipal Employee Pension Plan Commission Appointment. Yeah. Good luck, Councilor Edwards. I stumbled on the protocol proclamation.
I'll move the motion, Your Worship, that Ashley Stradesky be reappointed to the Municipal Employees Pension Plan Commission as a joint representative of employers of police officers and firefighters that participate in the plan for a 4-year term beginning on September 1st, 2022.
Thank you. Seconder? Councilor Kilmer?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion, I see no one in the queue. Question is now open. And carried. Thank you. Okay, then we go to number 12, unfinished business. We have none. Number 13, Mayors and Councilors Forum. Councilor Kilmer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to give a huge shout out and congratulations to a group of our volunteers and citizens of Prince Albert. Shauna Stapleton, Felix Casavant, Pat Bibby, directors and volunteers who put on an amazingly successful SSFA, Saskatchewan Seniors Fitness Association 55+ games. I was lucky enough to be part of this group. We were to put on this games in 2019, and we were able to get the curling event in, and then we had a stretch of time where the world changed and moved around a lot, but we just finished having the games. It did rain. However, 700 people from across Saskatchewan came to our city for the 3-day events, and they had glowing reports and they loved it. Special shout out to the city for the help in the Art Hauser and the different facilities that our city has. And the common comment was, what a beautiful city and facilities you have. So kudos to all of us and especially this group of people. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just want to echo what Councillor Kilmer said. Councillor Kilmer was involved in that as well, and so congratulations to Councillor Kilmer for her work with the games. And I too was there and heard comments from people right across the province. I spent a little bit of time at the Southwest section. That's where I taught for 13 years, and they had nothing but positive comments about our city and our city facilities. They couldn't believe the beautiful city facilities that we have, and you know, I mentioned to them, you know, well, come back and visit and spend some more money in the summertime and in the fall, etc. Keep coming back. We do have a good city. I also want to give a shout out to the two groups that organized Canada Day celebrations. The Royal Canadian Legion held kind of the morning and afternoon event at Kinsman Park, and then the Prince Albert Multicultural Council held the afternoon and evening and fireworks on the riverbank. And so I want to congratulate those two organizations for helping us celebrate, as I said, not only the last 155 years, but the thousands and thousands of years that took people were here in Prince Albert prior to 1867. So that's what we celebrated. We celebrated those thousands of years of this area and its culture and its diversity. And it was a great day. Even though it was cold and rainy, it was still a great day. I represented the city at the Volunteer Recognition Night at the E.A. Rawlinson Center back in June, I think it was. And it was an evening where all the people that volunteer, and I think 40 people were acknowledged that night for volunteering at the Rawlinson and making that center be one of the key art centers and important facilities in our city. And so I brought greetings on your behalf and on behalf of council for that particular event. And last but not least, on July 3rd, I was invited by Sonia Jan to welcome our new Ukrainian families to the city of Prince Albert, and in a barbecue. And we have, I think, 13 or 14 families here already, and another 6 are coming. So I think we're going to get up to 20 families of people. And Sonia Jan has to be complimented on her organization and her hard work in making sure that the newcomers to our city feel welcomed and have all the necessities of life provided for them, coming from a war-torn, unjustified, disgusting war by Putin and his cronies. I think our city has welcomed them, and the residents have really opened their arms and made them feel very welcome. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Councillor Zepp.
I wanted to congratulate the organizers of Chester Fest, a local music festival. It was phenomenal, very well done, very well organized, and enjoyable to attend. And I sure liked seeing our city garbage cans and city recycling bins in Chester Fest. And it was located this year at the Prince Albert Exhibition Center. So a big thank you for the organizers. You know, again, really putting on a great event and putting a lot of effort and work into a local event.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. I know we try to keep it positive, but I had some disturbing news on the weekend. I think it was Friday. I got a phone call at the lake from Mr. Malcolm Jenkins, our partnership fellow for our spray parks and our playgrounds, and things aren't so nice. And so we got video surveillance, I believe, at the department, and Lions Park down by the West Flat Center got vandalized, and $10,000 worth of damage there. I believe at the field house it was $100,000 damage. And I just want people to know that, you know, maybe we should all start taking responsibility for our children and maybe starting to, you know, hand out a few bills from the city to residents who have children out there destroying property that our little children are trying to enjoy, because it's very expensive nowadays to go out to the lake, and more often than not, our families cannot afford to take the trip out, and so their spray parks and playgrounds are the places for the children to go. So I just think it's very unfortunate for our city to experience this from 2% of our population, wreck it for the rest of us. Thank you, Mayor Dion.
Yeah, thank you. And it is sad that, you know, you damage a spray park. You know, that's for little kids. I just don't see the purpose. But thank you for bringing that up. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to, a little more of on a sadder note, I guess, want to recognize and say big heartfelt condolences to the late Frank Young, who went missing on April 19th around our community, or nearby community, and was found July 9th. Had a lot of support from supporters and searchers throughout our country, and so a big heartfelt condolences to the family. And yes, and he was loved very much nationwide. So,
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Worship. Just a quick moment to recognize that multiple youth softball teams won provincial titles in the recent weeks. Some are off to nationals, so I just want to congratulate those teams that have had some success there. So that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to use this opportunity then. I'd really like to thank all the parents, organizers, teachers, everyone involved in GRAD. It's such a great time for our city to celebrate our young people graduating, taking the next step in life, encourage them in their future endeavors, and encourage them to come back to our city after education. But, and we've all attended them as counselor. If I can't make them, you go on my behalf, so I thank you. One of the advantages we have in the back is we see the amount of work that is done. And it's an incredible amount of work that's done. People just think you snap your fingers and all of a sudden it's there. Well, anyone that worked it did not. And I also want to thank the students because, boy, we went through this graduation without anyone getting hurt. So I reach out to that because we all like to celebrate, grad, but we're taking more responsibility, and so that also made me happy. So kudos to all the parents, the teachers, everyone involved in everybody's graduation. Just thank you because it's a special day, and without you, it would not have happened. So I want to reach out and thank to them. Okay, number 14, inquiries. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Dion. The rail line is, I don't know if you're in talks with them or not, from 20th Avenue East to 20th Avenue West. It's haying season. So we need to cut down the weeds, and because it's very important, because when the rail goes, it
Train.
shoots off sparks, and it starts fires. And it's probably gonna start drying up here pretty soon, so instead of not doing anything about it, maybe your office can send out a memo or a letter to them. Also, I was thinking about getting your office to send another letter to the post office. So in front of all those beautiful community mailboxes, maybe they can do a yellow strip so nobody parks there throughout the day, overnight, so people can actually get to the mailboxes, like our seniors, who have to live in their homes for as long as possible. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brodnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have two quick ones. The first one is with construction on 6th Avenue and 22nd Street, and 22nd Street being closed, there's a back alley that joins 22nd Street to 20th Street, and it's seen increased traffic, and so just if Public Works can maintain that for the next 6 weeks of grading it and making sure that the potholes are filled in so that the residents that do use that back alley can do so without rattling every bone in their body as they go down it. Second inquiry is to, I think, planning. It's about just before COVID hit, we had a forum in the City Hall about the riverbank and the river, and that SAS Polytech group did a study, and then they were going to come present to council, and they haven't presented yet, and I was wondering where that whole project is at, if it's going to happen, if they're going to present to us, where is it at? Thank you.
Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, planning.
That's right.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Grodin, for the question. Yeah, unfortunate, obviously.
Thinking of my inquiry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it threw timing off when it came to, it was actually a University of Saskatchewan, the planning college. What they did, all of those students have potentially graduated and moved on or gone into their fourth year. So what they did put together was PowerPoint presentations to be, reviewed by, anyone. They did make them available. I do have them on file. I can certainly resend them to members of council. If there is a wish to have them attend, I can certainly ask. However, logistics, I believe some of those students have graduated. It may be a little bit difficult, but I'll forward you those presentations.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Zerikowski.
Thank you, Worship. Mr. Mayor, all anybody has to do is drive by Marcus Road East to see some of the movement that's been going on the new aquatic and Twin Pad Arena site.
Yes.
It's very exciting. Things are happening since the approval here in the chambers. So I wonder if I could throw it over to the Director of Public Works to brag about, to let people know what's been going on since the approval, and so we can let the public know the positive activity that's going on in that area.
Director of Public Works.
Thank you very much for that question, Councillor. As of a week and a half ago, the contractor, Graham Construction, has moved on to the site. They have started setting up a security fence around the perimeter of the area. They've brought in their construction trailers. They've started excavating the north end of the facility, the deepest part, which is the basement and the pool areas, so that they have a lower platform so they can start the drilling rigs for piling. The pile rigs will be coming in, I think, on the July 18th, so just in a few more days, but they have to prepare the site for that. And then there's 755 piles for the foundation of the building that will have to be pounded down. That's going to take a better part of July and August to create. But as that's happening, other things will be happening behind it. As soon as one end of the building has the piles in it, then the next crew is going to be coming in to start working on the foundation. So they're starting. There's definitely some activity out there, as well as Signature Development is building the access roads into the sites. So now that the properties are starting to sell, they're in the position of building the foundations of the roads, and you'll be seeing curb and gutters coming in very shortly.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Certainly exciting. Nice to see all that work happening at a very accelerated pace. Mr. Chairman, the other question I have, if I may, is surrounding the recent letter that was dropped off to some residents of West Hill that were invited to move their bins from the back alley to the front street. And part of the information in the letter was a little vague about efficiencies. So I'd just like to ask that question, and maybe I'll follow up at another time, if I get some clarity on the efficiencies question. Thank you. And I'll put that in writing as inquiry.
Okay, so you'll wait for the answer? Okay, thank you. Oh. Sorry, Councillor Kilmer.
Thank you very much. My inquiry is to Community Services. A while back, Community Services did provide us with a list, council with a list of public washrooms open and available in the PA bid area. So my question is, are those washrooms, is the department aware of some people not being allowed to use those washrooms? So, and it's just a general question for, are they truly open to the public?
Okay, we'll have to confirm that list, and thank you. Councillor Zepp.
Two inquiries, and these are to come back at a later date, not for today.
Okay.
A comparison of the current bank balance for the city for July 1st of 2020, 2021,
Okay, now,
2022.
you've already sent that in as a mayor's inquiry, so I'm not going to disallow it. They already started work on it, so you can't ask twice.
Okay, so that
if
is
you
ca-
use the mayor's inquiry, yes, I signed off.
Okay,
They're working
okay.
on it as we speak.
Okay, that'd be great, yeah.
So
I think that's great, I'll leave it at that. I just was concerned I was missing something, but it sounds like it's
Nope.
coming.
Well, it works.
Thank you.
It will take a little while because you asked for 3 years, but they are on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I have only one inquiry. Quite some time ago, a street sign, Gary Anderson Way, was knocked down. If I could ask the department, don't answer me today, when that sign will be going back up. I had an inquiry over the weekend, somebody was looking and doesn't even show on their GPS yet, but I noticed the street sign is not up there. It was up, but it's not up, and I don't know why. Okay, thank you. So that's it. So we have now number 15, inquiry responses from June 13th. Councillor Head.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that inquiry 2020-6 be received and information filed, as information and filed.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'll second Mayor Dion with a question.
Go ahead.
So inquiry 22-16, so the cutting of the, well, it would be hay now. So 9th Avenue and 13th Street West. And the other one was done, but there's still things not happening on the corner of 13th Street West and 9th Avenue. Also, I'd just like to remind people that, you know, if you own a house, empty lot, boarded up home, I could care less which what it is, to make sure that they actually mow the lawn.
Yes.
And try not to burn the grass with chemicals so you don't have to burn the lawn. So you don't have to mow the lawn. So, yeah,
Yes.
it's been a very busy weekend for me. I reported today over 40 places that needed their grass cut and hay baled, whatever you want to do. Thank you, Mayor Dion.
You're welcome. Okay, so we have a motion up there, so I'll prompt the question. Questions now open. And carried. Thank you. So moving on, notice of motions? No one? Motions, we have none. Public forum, we have one registered guest. I'll ask her to go to the podium, introduce herself, and you have 5 minutes to make your presentation. Oh, I gotta send the mic. Oh, just one moment, please. Sorry. I've got to add the mic.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
you're
Good
right.
afternoon, Mayor and councillors. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to make this short. I sat here and listened to this all. It's very interesting, your day-to-day jobs. And 4 words came to my mind and really stuck out. It was proactive, business, children, and what was the last one? I can't remember. But my point is, I believe in all of these things in our city. I think everybody here knows why I'm here. I'm the co-owner of Northern Elite Firearms, and our signs were taken down from the Kinsman Baseball Complex. And my question is, what did every other business do that our business didn't do that resulted in our signs being taken down?
Sorry, you got to make a presentation.
That's my presentation, because I've submitted emails. I'm not getting any answers.
Okay, I'll have somebody answer you back on that question then. Not now,
Why not right now, Mr. Mayor?
because we're not prepared to answer right now. It's not on our agenda, so I will look it up and I'll have somebody respond back to you.
You told PA Now that Northern Elite Firearms and the Prince Albert Minor Baseball Association did not follow the proper protocol or procedure. Which bylaw did we violate? What didn't we do?
I'm not going to debate with you. It's coming up at council on the July 18th meeting, and that's when we'll have reports, and that's when we'll comment on it. You're here to make a presentation.
This is a forum, correct?
Yes?
So this is a forum, this is a place where we can discuss thoughts and ideas.
No, you make your presentation, and then we move on and we respond back to you at a later date. So do you have any other comments?
Sure, I've got 3 minutes left. So I am a local Métis person from this community, born and raised here, of several generations. My business is, I've put my heart and soul into my business. As a young child, I had a scary situation with a firearm. I didn't know about guns. And when I put that sign up at the baseball field, yep, I want business because I'm a businesswoman in this city. I appreciate that. I also know I want to give back to my community. So I had my signs up there. I thought that was a great opportunity. And it was a great opportunity for my business and an opportunity for the people of Prince Albert. There's, the idea was to expand that field to offer provincial matches for, and where other families would come in to our city. And one of the things that my business does and we're really good at is bringing people into the city for tourism and helping to engage people in the tourism part of our community. And not only that, at the baseball diamond, that sign, when you have young children playing ball, 12-year-olds, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, at 12 years old, you can get a possession and acquisition license. That's a government, it's a government identification. And I want children and their families to be safe with firearms. I don't want accidents with firearms. I don't want people to misuse them. And so my idea with that sign up there was to, yes, create business and tourism and opportunity, but it was also a means of being proactive and saying, hey, there's a place here in this city, in this beautiful city, where people can bring their families. We're totally family friendly. I am a firearm instructor as of just recently, as is my partner, and we want people to bring in their kids so that they can learn about how to use firearms safely and responsibly. We've got an amazing resource, the Boreal Forest, just north of us, where people hunt and trap and forage. There's outfitters throughout the country. People from out of the country come to our place of business to buy firearms and ammo. And we've got people who use hunting as a way to survive. I look forward to discussing this.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, motion to adjourn. Councilor Kilmer,
I move to adjourn.
seconder. Councilor Zierakowski. Okay, I'll prompt the question. Now open. Carried. Thank you very much. Very good meeting. Have a safe weekend and see you in a week.
Seeing everybody.
Yeah, travel safe.